do a little video to see how all the water's acting around the house. So this area here is good. This is what caused me to have to dig up the front of the house and do the waterproofing, because this downspout here was just dumping water here and it turned into a swimming pool. But now you can see it's pitched. See a little bit laying there, and it runs over near the house. Let's see. And it looks like it turns, goes down here. And now I see it starting to dig right here in this corner. So thankfully I waterproofed down there too. So I need to do some kind of bump out here to get the water out this way and then down the hill. Because it's running good, it's not laying, but it's up against the house. I don't want that. It's digging trenches. This is getting replaced. Plus, we're gonna put a backup generator right here in between these two windows. And then I gotta dig down and run a pipe across. And then we're gonna put a propane tank over here somewhere, because there's no gas in this neighborhood. So unfortunately, she's gonna have to get a propane backup generator. So I got an electrician, plumber, who's gonna do it, and he's also gonna change this and the unit up in the attic. But I wanna show you some of the problems here while it's raining. You see it running there, goes behind the condenser, also runs here, but it comes over here. I see it flowing pretty good down there to the back door. So I'm definitely gonna have to build some kind of bump out here too to direct the water to go straight down there. So in case you watch my adding a toilet to the basement video and you're wondering why I left that old cast nub, I mean, that nub is here. So all I could do was cut as close as I could and replace what I could. If I would have tried to take that nub out, that nub is underneath here, underneath these steps. So let me try to show you a better angle. I mean, come on. That's a lot of work. She didn't want me to take the steps. And then there's a little mountain here. I'd have to dig all this ivy out. She didn't want to do that. Plus, I didn't know where it would run. All I could see is it comes out here, over here, this side of that window, comes out here somewhere. But at the time, I had no idea where it went. Now I know. See the sewer lid down there? But we didn't know until later when we dug this up. And when I was down here moving dirt around, I found that sewer lid. So I would have had to dig through all this to get down to this sewer. So we decided not to. But I didn't know about it anyway, so I couldn't have. And look at this. This is my pipe, and it's frozen. Look at that, it's got a piece of ice coming out of it. Let's get that out of there. I need that water to flow. So I'm thinking when I get the machines back here, I'm probably gonna have to go lower with this pipe. And I'm thinking about extending it down there more. Keep it away from the house. There you go. that's coming from the gutters and any hydrostatic pressure around the house. So hopefully that answers the question about that toilet nub. I didn't even know about this. I had no idea where that would run. That could have came out in that little mountain there and then turned to the right and went that way. I mean, look at the sewer lid. Look at the soil level, how high it is. That's how buried that was. I had no idea it was there. No clue. All the dirt's washing away. See this ponding right here? That's what happened in the front, but maybe 10 times the size of this. And that was up against the house, running into the house. Just doing this video to give you an idea of the situation here. It's all hills and mountains and boulders. I mean, look at this. It's boulders everywhere. There's more boulders than soil on this job. So I mentioned in another video about the bollards that I had an extra one. It's buried under that pile right now. And I was thinking about putting it over here somewhere because of the way she backs up to here, making her 3-point turns. Well, we decided, I got 6 of them over there. So we decided to put another 6 along here. So of course I'm gonna have to cut this asphalt. I'm gonna have to get a machine, dig down 3 feet. But here's the funny thing. When I got those, and I'm not talking about the covers. The covers, they're like 30 bucks each. I'm talking about just the bollards. Under President Trump, they were $125 each. Let's see what they are under President Biden. So since I have one, I only need 5. So as you see, I bought 5. Look, they're $255 each. With tax, $13.77. But since I gave him cash, he only charged me the $12.75. Well, that was nice of him, even though he doubled the prices. It's just insane. But we had to get them because apparently this place has the real deal. You ever go up to a business and you see the bollards bent in half and laying on the ground? That'll never happen here. These are the real deal in 6 yards of concrete. You hit that, your car is going to be damaged, and maybe the plastic cover. But those bollards are going nowhere. And that's what you want. So I did get the legs for the sink. I'm not really happy with them. They're not tall enough. Now there's a code where to put this sink, but she asked me to put it a few inches higher. You know, this way you don't have to bend over to use the sink and your back starts hurting. So that made a problem for the legs. So what I had to do, I had to get 2 sets of legs. And then I had to make extensions because they weren't long enough. You see that seam right there? The little extension I did. Same with this side. And the way I attached them, I got a little piece of gas pipe that actually fit inside of this tube perfectly. There's a little 2.5 by 1/2 inch. And I basically screwed it into the small nub, and then I screwed the top. And so far it's working. There's not a big seam back there anymore. Not like it was. So now if he leans on this, it should be all right. Let's go down in the basement. Let's go see if it's leaking. So before we dug up the front, this was all wet here. The joints were all wet. Now there's nothing. Everything's dry. I didn't do this tile job down here. This was already here. I don't know if you saw in my video how to patch cinder block, but the whole reason why I patched it is because we waterproofed it. Even though I was gonna frame it, put some insulation, new drywall, I still wanted it clean back there. And this shutoff doesn't work very good, so I had to put this one on. So that wall looks nice and dry. Floor looks nice and dry. So now I have a problem over here. I'm not gonna be able to open this because there's too much stuff. But it seems to be some leaves and some bugs getting in this corner here, and I know what it's about. It's about that siding out there, so I'm gonna have to address that. But as you see on the floor, everything's nice and dry. Water's flowing. Digging trenches. So I know I said I was going to do another update on the sump pump and the toilet when everything's out of there, but my homeowner has a lot of stuff. So even though I got my stuff out of here, she put her stuff back in. But it's okay. It is what it is. The whole point of me putting that sump pump in is because water was coming in the front wall. I see a lot of people were getting upset, and that's because they're the people who have a house that was built on top of a creek or a stream or a river. I mean, that's not the case here. We don't have water flowing under here. Let me see if you can see that soil. See the slope? So I'm gonna have to do something out there because I gotta put a concrete pad over there in the bushes for the propane tank. Let's go back out there. You can't see through that screen. And I want it level. And I'm thinking about, after it's in, building a wall around it. Cinder block wall or something. I don't know if you can see it, but there's nothing flat out here. Everything's pitched and on a hill and boulders. I'm waiting for a nice day. I think tomorrow is going to be an ice storm, so I won't be able to do it then. But right around here, I need to do a concrete pad. Nice level pad. But I got a feeling I'm going to run into this type of stuff. And that's why I call this a mountain and not just a hill. I mean, look at it. Yeah, so there's no getting out a shovel and digging in this house. There'll be none of that. You definitely need a machine. I might need a walk-behind saw, whatever it is. So I'm lucky enough to know somebody I work with on other big commercial jobs where he's a plumber and an electrician. So he can come out and actually install this generator and the propane tank. Other than that, you need an electrician just to install the generator. Then you have to get the propane company to come out, and you'll be leasing a tank off of them, which will be very expensive. This way, she's buying the tank outright. It's going to be hers. And she'll just have to pay for the propane, and that's it. She won't be paying extra to lease the stupid tank. But this guy can handle everything. So, but he was supposed to be here today because I need him to get that unit out of the attic so I can plywood all the rafters up there so people can safely move around up there. Plus, he was supposed to remove this condenser, being that it's all getting replaced, just to get it out of my way so I could dig this out and I could pour a nice pad here also. So I'm gonna have 3 pads here, one here, one there, and one there, concrete pads. But I can't really do it with this here. Just gotta go. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna try to video all that. Hopefully all that's gonna be going on in the next month or 2. Hopefully we're done with this snow nonsense. So I realized out of all the videos I made, I never explained how the water was getting in the basement. All right, so this house, usually you build a house, you pour a concrete footer, and then you can lay your foundation block wall on top of that concrete footer. Here at this house, they did not pour a concrete footer. What they did was, there's boulders down there, so they laid the foundation block wall right on the boulders, the Pennsylvania schist, whatever you want to call it. And they used 12-inch block, but they didn't use 12-inch solid. I mean, you see how thick this wall is here? That's pretty thick. Now, this here is from me. These are 2x4s. But this is 12 inches. You know what I mean? 12 inches. They're 12-inch blocks, and they're not the 12-inch solids. And when I say solids, that means they have small cores. There'll be a small core and a small core. They use the cheesy 12-inch block that have the huge cores. So if you saw my patching the cinder block video, I think I got some hate on that video too. I think because they saw the foam that I put. Well, I needed the foam. How am I going to patch it? When you're patching, the cement will just keep falling into those cores because these idiots laid this foundation wall and never filled the cores in solid. Now, I'm sure people will argue with me about that you don't have to do that. Well, me, I do that. Those cores are there for a reason. They're set up the way they are for a reason. They're staggered for a reason. When it's all up, you fill them in solid with grout, concrete, cement, whatever you want to do, and they're locked solid. And you know what? That front wall would have never leaked. But here's another problem. So what they did back then, see this? I got this all framed out, insulation, drywall. Over here, this one's exposed because I couldn't build out because of the stair lift. So we needed the stair lift. So what they did back in the day is they took 1x3s and turned them sideways and nailed them to the blocks. Okay, so now you need to get electric outlets in. So what these idiots did, and I see it on a lot of jobs, what they'll do is they'll chop a hole into the cinder block to fit the electric box in there. And that's what they did. So that's what happened. The water would get inside of that block wall. If you watched when I dug it up, you'll see the couple holes I show. I didn't really talk about it because the machine was running. You wouldn't have been able to hear me. But you could see that there was a wire coming out. There was a small copper line coming out that used to go to a different oil tank in the front yard. Now the oil tank is out back here. And the main water service to the house, they had a gigantic hole. So what would happen is water would go in those holes and down through the cores because they were too lazy to fill them in, and it would just go everywhere. And then it would find a way in, which wherever they broke a hole on the inside for the stupid outlet, the water was coming in through the outlets. So that's why this basement was leaking. And I'm going to tell you, I put another service panel. Let me show you over here. Let me move this box so I can open the door. Gotta move my paint. All right, so this is the main electric service to the house right here. So it's not enough. It wasn't enough. I needed more for all the work I did in the family room, the bathroom, that small attic over there, the garage. So what I did, see this wire here? I ran it up. It goes up and it goes all the way down to that cinder block wall. I got to connect it to a 100 amp breaker here. I marked this sub panel in the garage. So I needed another sub panel over in the garage. But I ran into a big issue. Let me take you over there and show you. So my plan, I had this drop ceiling down and I took out one of these top 4-inch blocks and I was gonna try to feed it over under the family room into the garage, which is not gonna happen because of course up here is all wood rafters, but over there is a concrete floor. So what I had to do, I had to go outside across the front porch. So yeah, Jamie did a little bootlegging, but I did it temporary. It's just temporary. I'll show it to you. We'll go out there and see it. I know people will frown upon it, but it's only temporary. So this guy I got coming out that's an electrician and a plumber, since I got him this job, I'm not asking nothing of him except to help me rerun that service wire that's down there. We're gonna have to see all the siding. This is the problem I'm having. There's bugs getting in leaves. None of this was done right. You see it? It's just a mess. But I need him to help me fish a wire up all the way up into that attic where I put the attic ladder in, across that attic, down into the lower attic, and then into the garage. And I think that would be more safe. But for now, I got it here. Which is a no-no. So he told me this is okay, but he said, it was something about them being able to fish a wire later. Well, you're not fishing any wire through this. I just barely fit it in that pipe. Goes across here and into the garage. We put this in just a little GFI, so she has power out here. Now I'm pouring 8 inches of concrete on top of this that was gonna bury that. I mean, there's no other way for me to get that wire into the garage. But now that he's coming out, I'm hoping he's gonna help me out. We're gonna have to measure the distance because apparently it has to go through everything. All different parts of the house. Hang on, let me open this garage door. Yeah, if you hear my nose going, I apologize, but when I put that attic ladder in, I've been sick ever since. There was something deadly up there waiting for me. I thought I had the COVID, so I went out and took the test. Negative. Some kind of nonsense was up there in the attic waiting for me when I was up there. I think it was the insulation. I was bagging some of it up. So here's the panel I put in. With that service wire. But I'd rather have it come from up there. That goes up into that small attic. There's a small attic up there where I was with a grinder cutting those nails. And now we're in a bigger attic. So I gotta fish it through all that somehow. I'm gonna see what happens. Plus he told me these connectors I used are no good. Can't use those. So I'm gonna talk him into fixing it, right? I know a lot of guys when they sub work out, they ask for some money, you know what I mean? I'm not asking for nothing. I'm trying to get my customer some deals here. She's been spending a lot of money with us. So that's the least he could do is help me out with a few things.